Hi, now let us understand how to add more nodes into the Docker cluster. Already we have a master node where we have installed the UCP. Now I am going to start a couple of nodes and I am going to make that as a worker. And I'm going to make that as a worker machines. Let me go ahead and start a couple of more machines. So I'm going to launch instance. Since I do have the AMI, I'm going to select the AMI. So here's where the advantage of having the AMI comes into picture, where I don't need to go ahead and do further installations. I can go with T2 small or medium or even large, as it is going to be just workers, and I'm going to go with large as I'm going to install DTR as well as a part of that specific node. So I'll go with T2 large so that it will have more memory, and I'm going to request for 3 machines. Let me add the storage. Let me name them as workers. Let me configure the security group. I'm going to select the security group as Docker EE. Let me review the changes and launch. I'm going to select the key as DCE Docker demo. Let me acknowledge I do have the key and launch the instances. So the instances would get launched. I can remove the filter so that I will get all the machines. So 3 systems have been provisioned. They should be ready within few minutes. In the meantime, I can go ahead and note down their IP address, and let me give a meaningful name so that I can identify them. First one I'm going to mark it as worker 1, second one as worker 2, and worker 3. Now let me get into the master, that is UCP, and say I'm going to add more nodes into the system. Let's say add node. And it's going to ask for what type of node that I'm going to add. I'll have that as Linux. In case if it is a Windows, I can go ahead and select the Windows. It has some additional steps. Now I do have the Linux system. So I'm going to select Linux, and the role I'm going to mark it as worker. It's going to provide the option, the node type, whether it is Windows or Linux. I'm going to add the Linux system. So I'm selecting Linux, and the role they are going to play is worker. And in case if I wanted to have a custom listen address, and I can select this particular option, provide that. In our case, I'm going to use the default address, that is the IP address of the master. I'm going to use it as it is, and I'm going to use this particular command in all the 3 systems. So I'm going to copy the command and execute it in all the 3 systems. First, let me log into the worker 1. I'm going to execute the docker swarm join command as it is. Copy it from the clipboard. Yes, it is joining as a swarm worker. And in case if I wanted to change the orchestrator, I can very well go ahead and change the orchestrator to Kubernetes as well. Now I can get into the master and check the number of nodes. Let me go ahead and refresh the system. So it will be trying to get the heartbeat signal and it will change it to active. Let's allow a couple of more minutes. And in the meantime, let me go ahead and add the other systems as well. And one more point to be remembered, whenever you are working on the cluster, you need to make sure the ports are communicating within these systems. If you note, all the systems are running within the same security groups, and I have opened all the ports within the security group because internally within the cluster, it's going to make n number of communications between the components in different ports. So I need to make sure all the systems running within this particular security group, that is Docker EE, will be in a position to communicate in all these ports. In case if you wanted to restrict this to the specific ports, you can add only those ports. But for easier and quick installation purpose, I have added all the ports only for this particular security group. Now let me go ahead and add the worker 2. For that, I need to get into that worker 2 machine. As I have saved the session, I don't need to add the other details like the key or the user ID. Only the IP address needs to be changed. I'm copying the worker 2 public IP address and login. In this system also, I'm going to execute the swarm join. In the meantime, let me start another PuTTY instance and log into the 3rd machine. Here also, let me execute the swarm join command. So the 2nd machine also join. Let me check the status of the 3rd machine. Yes, they also join. Now let me check the status within the UCP. So I should have the information about all the 3 worker machines as a part of the UCP. Now, in case if I wanted to make or promote any of the machine, I can go ahead and do them. So all I need to do is I need to edit and change the role or what is the orchestrator type to be used and what should be the status of that particular machine, and that's going to be another session by itself. So now we have successfully installed 3 instances and we have added them as a worker machine as a part of the cluster.